Hey everybody, it's Alan Weinkrantz with my new hat. I'm here in San Juan, Puerto Rico at Seriously Creative. We are going to meet and connect with a really interesting innovator and a design thinker, Dana Montenegro. Let's check him out. So Dana, this is a beautiful space. What are we looking at and what are we going to see today?
Well, you're on the outskirts of San Juan. You're in the kind of the jungles of San Juan, but you're only about 10 minutes away from the financial district. And what you're going to see is a warehouse that's been converted into a creative space. And we've got 4,000 square feet of tremendously creative space where people can come and hold their meeting and really think outside the box by putting themselves in a non-traditional box of a space. Our space is designed to promote collaboration and to get people thinking differently, and sometimes that means we lead sessions for people and we lead their brainstormings. We lead 3 or 4 week sessions where we come up with new innovations, or people simply come here because the same old meeting space in a hotel is just not going to inspire people. So I invite you in to see our space.
This is great.
So welcome in. This is our beginning little foyer of Seriously Creative. This is the first thing people see. It's a little colorful, it's a little bit different, but the real difference is in the back, and we'll show you that.
Okay, let's go check it out. So what are we looking at?
You're looking at Seriously Creative. Seriously Creative is, for lack of a better word, our play space. That is a play space for businesses who need to be creative and need to think outside the box, and going to a traditional hotel just isn't going to do that. So they come here.
So these are all games.
Every company has a boardroom, right? So we have a board game room. We've got all these board games here, right? And we've got all the costumes and stuff like that. And we believe that board games are supposed to be about talking about ideas. And the only way you can talk about ideas is if you can draw it. So we have this huge chalkboard over here that people draw up their ideas and edit their ideas, you know, and try to get other people to understand the method to their madness, right? And, well, it's a comfortable space, to say the least. And this is where I spend most of my day because I'm very ADD. I can't sit in my office for very long, so I'm about an hour here, an hour over there, but this tends to be the spot I like.
Who actually comes here?
Usually the big traditional businesses come here. They're so stuck in their own environments, or so stuck in their own thinking, that they rent out our space to hold their own meetings. Or they're coming here because they need our help, our services, and they need to have us provoke them to think differently. And that's what most people call brainstorming. We go well beyond that, but they come here to do those kind of things. I was with Red Bull for 6 years, and I had a variety of different jobs, and several of them were marketing oriented, but my last job was as the driver of culture, innovation, and inspiration. Part of that job is doing the crazy cultural marketing things that Red Bull does, like breakdancing and fashion and crazy little events. But the other part of it was helping inspire other people in the organization to come up with truly unique and innovative ideas and support that process so that we could go from having several great ideas to hundreds of great ideas ready to go at a moment's notice.
And how does that align with concepts like Startup Weekend or some of the other initiatives that you see all over the world?
Well, if you look at Red Bull and the way they manage themselves, the business is a startup. Every business unit, every region, every country is run like a startup. People are unleashed. People are given the chance to come up with new ideas, try new things, prototype. You're encouraged to fail in the company. So it's a company that's run on design thinking principles and a startup ethic. It's a company that, even though it's been around since the 1980s to this day, still sees itself as this fast-moving startup, able to adjust, able to be agile, able to take quick decisions, and able to take real risks. You know, so it's like being in a startup. Red Bull is being in a startup.
For Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix was a radical thinker of his day. All right, he thought very much outside of the box. Even in the 1960s, where everyone was trying out new ideas, Jimi Hendrix would always go a little bit farther. So inspired by Jimi Hendrix, inspired by the Beatles a bit, and inspired by Albert Einstein over there, we created a space that took people back a little bit to the 60s and the 70s when they were potentially kids again, you know? And when you were a kid, you were a creative genius. And it's not a matter about teaching people to be creative. It's about teaching them to be creative again. Because they already have it. Everyone has it in them. But traditional education and traditional business beat it out of you, teach you that it's not up to you. Someone else is going to come up with the idea. But the greatest ideas come from people who just dare to come up with the idea. Not because they're an expert in the field, not because they're highly educated, because they're unleashed is why people come. We believe in a different kind of space, a different kind of working space. And we, in fact, think every company should think differently about the spaces that they use. Most spaces are, they make one person a leader and everyone else a follower. They push you to not think beyond what you're supposed to be doing. And we think space can be designed to make people collaborate, to give people the bravery to come up with big and bold ideas, but you need open space. You need space that feels more like a kindergarten. We think people were geniuses when they were in kindergarten, and kindergarten was designed to get kids to work together and do new things and to experiment. But what do you have now? You have cubicles and you have offices that people come to work together, but then they're behind their desk the whole day and they never collaborate. Collaboration is what makes business go, but businesses are the biggest.
So what do you think are some of the driving forces now that are enabling this opportunity for entrepreneurship in the creative community here in Puerto Rico?
Well, Puerto Rico is probably coming out of about 50 years of anti-entrepreneurial policies, taxation, but also mindset. People have been for generations against the idea of entrepreneurship. It's better to have a job from someone else than to create your own job. It's actually better not to work, right? But that's starting to change. In part is out of necessity. The government laid off 15,000 people. There's no jobs for those people. They've had to create jobs. The newspaper is now running sections of the newspaper that's highlighting people who've started their own business and starting to heap praise on those people rather than either ignore them or vilify them. And I think the other thing that's really happening is you're starting to see more young people are being influenced by watching entrepreneurs out of the States, how they're kind of treated, kind of like rock stars, because we have the talent. There's engineering talent. We have some of the best engineering schools in the entire United States. We produce more engineers per capita than any other state in the United States. And those people are starting to realize that they can start the businesses they want to work at rather than work at someone else's businesses. And I think that's starting to push society along. And I think there's just enough people who are trying to push this message that we're finally kind of breaking through this like big silence, this big void. And people are starting to pay attention to us. But it's been a lot of hard work.
So you are sharing some ideas about a co-working space here in Puerto Rico. Share your vision.
Our vision is this. We want to take our space and recreate it for people who want to launch businesses, right? And we want to work with, there's some big spaces that are not being used in Puerto Rico in the financial district. We've talked to one of the owners of one of the biggest banks here, and he's got all this space, and we told him, give us the space. We'll bring you entrepreneurs, people who may eventually be your clients. Our idea is that we want to get those people together. There's so many young, talented people with ideas in Puerto Rico, but they're not connected. And we figure we can put them in one space, get them to work together, get them to collaborate and help each other out. We'll spin off several new businesses. Rather than waiting for a big business to come from the outside to Puerto Rico, we know if we invest in 20 businesses, we may get 3 that become the big businesses we want in the future.